Let's talk about a partner who can't take criticism. But first, we're going to start with you as to why you're labeling what you're saying to him as criticism. Nobody wants to be criticized by their partner, so I don't blame him. However, there are some people who can't handle any sort of constructive feedback, no matter in what delivery method it is approached. And part of that is their own rejection wounds, likely from childhood, where any sort of attack on them, any sort of negative comments, they may have been told their whole lives that they're shit. Unfortunately, there's lots of parents who will do that to their kids, thinking that shame is going to motivate their child to do what they want them to do, except the child internalizes that as their own self-worth, that they are just a POS. So yeah, criticism is going to destroy connection every single time. You don't want to criticize your partner. You can communicate with them in a way that reflects how their behavior and their response to things or their actions affects you and how you're feeling hurt. But it's also your job to explore your own internal state, because nobody can make you feel a certain way. This took me a really long time to kind of wrap my head around. I was like, no, clearly, like when they're acting this way or they're doing this thing, it's going to hurt me. True, but it's also the meaning you place on it, right? So if your partner won't take criticism and then they shut down, I would then start to question, what kind of partner do I have? And then I would go to them when we're not ramped up in an emotional state, because that's never a good conversation. I would go to them in a logical state and say, hey, we've got some issues in our relationship, right? And the way that things are heading, this isn't going to work. And I can't live like this anymore. So I would like for us to go to therapy. We can go as individuals. We can go together. We need to learn some new skills and how to relate to each other, because we're destroying it. Okay. And taking ownership of it. Yes, your partner may be doing things that are hurting you, that may be destructive, but there's this phrase that I once heard that really helped me to shift perspectives. If I thought how you thought, I'd feel how you'd feel. So unless your partner is a malicious asshole, right, who's intentionally trying to destroy you, in which case, yeah, leave, be done, get that toxic person out of your life. But for the most part, both partners think that they're in the right. Both partners blame the other person. If you're not doing the self-aware work and the healing work to understand your responsibility in your partnership, it takes two people to make a partnership work. It does. If one person is checked out, if one person doesn't want to work on the relationship, if one person's not willing to take accountability, responsibility, or do their part, then you can't drag someone else through life. You will be miserable. And what breaks my heart most about this comment, and she says, I just end up crying and not saying anything. You get a say in your relationship too. You get an equal say in how your relationship unfolds. For those of you that shut down when the other person starts to become emotionally dysregulated, you're just as emotionally dysregulated when you shut down. You get an equal say of how your relationship goes. You do. You matter too. Just because they may be louder or more toxic in how they project their emotions doesn't mean that you don't get a say. So that's the work that you can be doing, right? Because if you are in a partnership where you cannot communicate when you have a problem, that you keep having the same fights over and over again, you guys are in a toxic cycle. You could leave. You could admit defeat, that you both don't know how to make a relationship work. So get some help, learn some skills, learn some tools. But most importantly, no matter what happens with a relationship, you have got to get your self-worth back. Because for you to think that another person dictates your voice, what you say, your life, that it doesn't matter, that's some boundary issues. That is you abandoning yourself. Okay. And look, I've been in really toxic relationships where I felt that way, where I felt their opinion matters more. They must be right. I must be the crazy one, right? Gaslighting happens a lot, right? And it makes you question your own reality. So go on your healing journey, because I promise you, if you start to get your self-worth back, your self-love, your self-confidence, your self-acceptance, ain't nobody going to tell you anything you don't already know about yourself and that you're not already working on. There's nothing anybody else can say to you that would change your own view of yourself. And those that don't want to see you in a positive, healthy light, what you've fought so hard to see yourself in, they don't get access to you anymore. Your own self-worth is not worth somebody else being happy with you. The more you understand yourself, the better you are at relationships. I promise. I promise. The more you love yourself, the more you have the capacity and the bandwidth to love others. And you also are better at setting boundaries because you know what you deserve and you know how you deserve to be treating it. And it's not a selfish thing. It's a self-love thing. Because at the end of this life, you go with you. Can't take anybody with you. So how are you going to be proud about how you showed up? Right? And I totally get loving people when they're going through a hard time and finding support, but that doesn't mean that you are a doormat. That doesn't mean that you diminish your life, that you diminish your experience, that you suffer so they don't have to. That's not a relationship. That's not partnership. You guys should come from a place of love, right? And maybe this is where you have to redefine what love is, because you might not have a great definition of it. And if they have trauma, childhood trauma, and again, big T trauma and little t trauma, to me, they stay the same in the body, then it's not enabling it and making it okay for them to mistreat you. They can get help. There can be consequences to their actions if they're going to be nasty to you. You don't have to make it okay for them, right? At the cost of you. Here's one exercise I use with my clients. Go journal out whatever you would want to say to them. Get that anger out, get that love out, get that hate out, get that resentment out, get that sadness out, write it out. You don't ever have to give it to them, but there's something very cathartic about writing out everything that you want to say that you're not saying because you're not using your voice. And chances are, if you're not using your voice, you have a lot of neck problems. You have a lot of throat problems, cough, maybe it feels tense and tight in your throat. It's because you're not using your voice and your body is telling you you need to speak up for yourself. And hey, my name's Tara and I'm on a mission to create a self-aware army. This is lonely in these self-aware streets.